Welcome to your quiet study space at English Speaking Corner. Today, we're going to build an emergency brake for when native English speakers talk way too fast. You are on a video call. Your manager is explaining the new project a mile a minute. You completely missed the deadline date, but you do not want to look bad. So you just smile, nod, and say, yes, absolutely. And now your stomach drops because you have no idea what you just agreed to.
I used to do this all the time. I even faked a bad internet connection once and turned off my camera just so I would not have to ask them to repeat themselves.
In this episode, we will practice 3 polite professional phrases to pause a fast speaker so you never have to fake a nod again.
Exactly. Why this topic is so important. That fake nod is something every single language learner has done. You are sitting there, your eyes are wide, you are smiling, and your brain is just screaming because you stopped understanding them 3 sentences ago.
I can imagine. It is such a universal experience. We do it because we want to be polite. We think that stopping the native speaker is rude. We think that if we just keep listening, maybe our brains will suddenly catch up and figure out the context.
But they never do. The context never magically appears. Instead, you end the conversation, you close your laptop, and you are left with pure panic. You might have just agreed to work over the weekend or take on a huge task, and you have no idea.
Exactly. And the longer you wait to stop them, the harder it becomes. If you stop them after 5 seconds, it's a quick clarification. If you stop them after 5 minutes of them talking, it is incredibly awkward to admit you have not understood a single word.
So true. That is why we are calling this the emergency brake. You need a safe, reliable way to pull the brake before the conversation goes completely off track. And the best part is, doing this actually makes you look more professional, not less.
Absolutely. But before we build our perfect emergency brake, we need to talk about what not to say. When we panic, our English often becomes very basic and very direct.
Oh, I've been there. When someone talks too fast, my brain deletes all my advanced vocabulary, and I just look at them and say, "What?" Or maybe, "Repeat, please?"
And while people will understand what you mean, saying what or repeat please in a professional setting can sound a bit harsh. It can sound like a command, or it can sound like you're annoyed with them.
Exactly. It completely changes the energy of the conversation. If a senior manager is excited about a project and talking fast, and you say, "Repeat, please," it feels like you're slamming a door in their face. It breaks the momentum.
That is why we use something called a cushion phrase. A cushion phrase softens your interruption. It takes the blame off the other person and makes the interruption feel polite and collaborative.
I love that. A cushion phrase. It's like putting a soft pillow down before you drop something heavy.
Precisely. So our first phrase, our cushion, is this: I am so sorry to interrupt, but
That is so much better than what? It acknowledges that they were speaking, it shows respect, but it still firmly stops the conversation.
exactly. I am so sorry to interrupt, but now, if you're listening to this on your commute or washing the dishes or sitting at your desk, this is your quiet study space. We're going to practice this out loud.
Yes, listening is great, but speaking is how you build muscle memory. When the panic hits on a real video call, you want your mouth to know exactly what to do without your brain having to translate it.
So, I'm going to say the phrase, then there will be a few seconds of silence. During that silence, I want you to speak out loud with me. Try to match my rhythm. Here we go. I am so sorry to interrupt, but let's try that one more time. Keep your shoulders relaxed. I am so sorry to interrupt, but
Great job. And notice how Anna didn't rush through that. She didn't say it incredibly fast. She stretched it out. She used it to literally slow down the time in the room.
exactly. The way you say it is your first tool to slow the other person down. If you speak slowly, they will naturally slow down to match your pace.
I love it. It's like a trick for conversations. You control the speed by setting the speed yourself.
Exactly. So now we have stopped the conversation. We pulled the emergency brake. We said, I am so sorry to interrupt, but what do we do next?
Well, the worst thing you can do here is say, "I'm so sorry to interrupt, but can you repeat everything you just said for the last 10 minutes?"
Yes, do not ask them to repeat everything. First, they probably don't remember exactly what they said. Second, it makes you look like you were not paying attention at all.
Right. Even if you missed a lot, you want to isolate the specific piece of information that confused you. You want to show them that you were listening, but just one tiny part slipped past you.
Exactly. And this brings us to our second phrase. Instead of saying, I did not understand, you say, I did not quite catch that last part about the deadline.
Oh, I really like that one. Wait, let us break that down for our listeners. I did not quite catch that. We usually use the word catch for a ball or maybe catching a train. Why do we use it for listening?
That is a fantastic question. In natural conversational English, we often treat words and information like physical objects that are moving through the air. If someone speaks too fast, the words fly past you. So if you say, I did not catch that, it means your ears did not grab the words in time.
That makes so much sense. It takes the pressure off your intelligence. You are not saying, I'm not smart enough to understand. You're just saying, the words were moving too fast for me to grab them. It's a much more confident way to admit a misunderstanding.
Absolutely. It is an incredibly natural phrase. I did not quite catch that. Adding the word quite softens it even more. It means you caught most of it, but just missed a tiny detail.
Let us put that into practice. Let us have our listeners shadow this phrase.
Perfect. I'll say the phrase, and then I'll leave space for you to repeat it out loud. Imagine you're looking right at the camera on your video call. Ready? I did not quite catch that last part about the deadline. Let's do it again, nice and smooth. I did not quite catch that last part.
Excellent. Now, what if you need them to explain it again? You told them you didn't catch it, but how do you politely ask them to repeat the information?
This is where we use an indirect question. Instead of giving a command like, tell me again, we ask a favor. We say, would you mind running through that one more time?
Would you mind running through that? Okay, let's look at the vocabulary there first. Running through. Does that mean we're putting on our running shoes and sprinting through the office?
No running shoes required. To run through something is a very common phrasal verb in business and daily life. It simply means to review something or to explain something step by step from the beginning to the end.
So if I have a presentation, I might say, let's run through the slides before the meeting.
Exactly. Or a waiter at a restaurant might say, let me run through the specials for today. It just means to list or explain the details. So when you ask a fast speaker to run through that one more time, you're asking them to explain the steps again.
It sounds so much more professional than say it again. And I noticed the grammar you used there. You said, would you mind running through? I hear a lot of learners make a tiny mistake here and say, would you mind to run through? Why is that incorrect?
That is exactly why this topic is so important. The phrase, would you mind, is always followed by a verb with an ing ending, a gerund form. So it's, would you mind repeating, or would you mind slowing down, or would you mind running through?
Ah, I see. Would you mind sending that email? Would you mind calling me back? It's a locked pattern. Once you memorize the pattern, you don't have to think about the grammar rules anymore.
Precisely. You just plug in the action you need. Let's practice this entire sequence. This is the magic formula: the cushion, the catch, and the run-through.
I love it. Let's give our listeners the full emergency break script.
I'll read the whole thing slowly. Then we'll break it into 2 parts for you to shadow. Here's the full script. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I did not quite catch that last part about the deadline. Would you mind running through that one more time?
That sounds so incredibly polished. If someone said that to me, I would immediately apologize for speaking too fast, and I would gladly explain it again. It doesn't sound like a language learner struggling. It sounds like a professional ensuring accuracy.
Let's build that muscle memory for our listeners. I'll say the first half, you repeat it out loud during the silence. Here we go. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I did not quite catch that last part about the deadline. Great! Now the second half. Remember the ing. Would you mind running through that one more time?
Brilliant. And if you're feeling brave, try to connect them together next time you practice. The more you do this, the more automatic it becomes.
Exactly. Now, if you're finding this shadowing practice helpful for building your real-world confidence, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We build these quiet study spaces every single week so you can practice speaking without pressure.
Yes, hit that subscribe button. We love growing this community of confident English speakers.
Now, Mark, we've given our listeners the exact words to say, but we need to talk about something that's almost more important than the vocabulary.
Let me guess. Pronunciation?
Even deeper than that, intonation and tone of voice. You can have the perfect script, the perfect grammar, and the perfect vocabulary, but if your voice sounds panicked, the other person will feel your panic.
Oh, so true. I remember when I had to give my first big presentation in a foreign language. I knew the words perfectly, but I was so nervous that my voice went up about 2 octaves. I sounded like a fast, panicked mouse. I spoke so quickly because I just wanted the moment to be over.
I can imagine. When we are nervous, our vocal cords tighten. We take shallow breaths from our chest instead of deep breaths from our stomach, and as a result, our pitch goes up and our speaking speed increases.
And the problem is, if you interrupt a fast speaker with a fast, high-pitched voice, it creates chaos. It sounds like an emergency. You say, "I am so sorry to interrupt, but I did not quite catch that," very fast. The native speaker gets confused and thinks something is wrong.
Exactly. That is why the emergency brake only works if you use a calm, falling intonation. Falling intonation means the pitch of your voice goes down at the end of the sentence, not up.
This is a huge secret about great communication. Confidence sounds slow. Confidence sounds grounded. When you want to take control of a fast, chaotic meeting, you do not talk louder. You talk slower, and you lower your pitch.
Let us show the difference. Mark, can you give us the panicked, high-pitched version of our script?
Sure, let me channel my nervous energy. "I am so sorry to interrupt, but I did not quite catch that. Would you mind running through that one more time?"
Wow. Yes, that makes me feel stressed just listening to it. It sounds like you are apologizing for making a terrible mistake. It sounds like you are scared.
Right. Now, Anna, give us the confident, grounded version, the true emergency brake.
First, I take a breath. I am so sorry to interrupt, but I did not quite catch that last part about the deadline. Would you mind running through that one more time?
Exactly. The difference is night and day. You sounded like the boss of the meeting. You sounded like you were doing them a favor by stopping them to make sure the project was done correctly.
And notice the pauses I added. I am so sorry to interrupt, but I did not quite catch that last part about the deadline. Would you mind running through that one more time?
Exactly. The difference is the sound of pure confidence. When you speak with that tone, no native speaker will ever be annoyed that you interrupted them. They will respect you for making sure everything is clear.
Which brings us to a massive mindset shift. So many English learners believe that asking a question is a sign of weakness.
Oh, I know that feeling perfectly. You think, if I stop them to ask a question, they will know my English is not perfect. They will judge me. They will think I am not smart enough for this job.
Yes, that is the exact fear that causes the fake nod. We would rather pretend we understand everything than admit we need help, but this is completely backward.
Exactly. Think about the most senior people at your company. Think about the directors, the CEOs, the expert consultants. Do they sit quietly and nod when someone talks too fast?
Never. They are usually the first ones to stop a presentation. They will literally put up a hand and say, "Hold on, you lost me. Run through those numbers again."
So true. I remember watching my manager in a meeting. A software engineer was talking incredibly fast, using all this technical slang. My manager calmly stopped him and said, "I did not catch any of that. Break it down for me." And nobody thought the manager was stupid. We all respected him for ensuring clarity.
Exactly why this topic is so important. Asking for clarification is a leadership trait. It shows that you care more about getting the job done right than protecting your ego.
And here's a secret about native speakers. We don't judge you for asking us to slow down. We actually feel a little embarrassed that we were talking too fast and not including you.
Absolutely. Native speakers know they speak quickly. They know they use slang and mumble their words. When you gently stop them with a polite cushion phrase, they're usually very happy to adjust.
But you know what they will judge you for?
What's that?
They will judge you if you nod, say yes, agree to a deadline, and then miss the deadline because you didn't understand the instructions. That destroys trust.
That is such a powerful point. Faking the nod protects your feelings for 5 minutes, but it risks your professional reputation for the whole project. Stopping the conversation feels scary for 5 seconds, but it builds permanent respect.
I love that. Protect the project, not your ego. And with the phrases we practiced today, stopping the conversation does not even have to feel scary anymore. You have the exact tools you need.
And remember, you can use these tools in any situation, not just at work. If you are traveling and a train station attendant is giving you fast directions, you can use the same phrases.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I did not quite catch that street name. Would you mind running through that one more time? It works everywhere. It is a universal toolkit.
Exactly. The key is just realizing that you have the right to understand. You are participating in the conversation, which means you have the power to control the speed of the conversation.
Before we wrap up today's session, let us do a quick vocabulary recap to make sure these phrases stick in your memory. We covered some fantastic professional terms today.
Yes, let us review. Our first target word was catch. In the context of listening, what does it mean to catch something?
It means to hear and understand a piece of spoken information. If someone speaks too fast, the words fly past you, and you might say, "I did not quite catch that." It's a polite, natural way to say you missed what they said.
Exactly. And our second phrase was run through. This is a phrasal verb, to run through something.
To run through something means to explain it, review it, or describe it step by step. Instead of saying, "repeat everything," you can politely ask someone, "Would you mind running through that one more time?" It sounds highly professional.
Perfect. And our overall goal today was to learn how to clarify. To clarify means to make something clear and easy to understand. When you stop a fast speaker, you're not causing a problem. You're asking them to clarify.
And remember the grammar rule that glues this all together. When you make a polite request using "would you mind," you must always follow it with an ing verb. Would you mind clarifying? Would you mind repeating? Would you mind running through?
You have done some amazing work today. You stepped into this quiet study space, you practiced out loud, and you built real speaking confidence.
I want to hear from all of you in the community. Tell us in the comments, what is the hardest part for you when listening to native speakers? Is it the speed, the vocabulary, or the accent? And challenge yourself to use one of the indirect question phrases we practiced today in your comment.
Yes, please share your thoughts. And for your real-world challenge this week, write our emergency break phrase on a sticky note and put it on your computer monitor right now. The next time someone speaks too fast, do not fake a nod. Read the note out loud.
You have the tools and you have the confidence. Keep practicing and your English will continue to grow smoother every single day.
Thank you for spending this time with us at English Speaking Corner. We'll see you in the next episode.